Yeah, good day. Last class we discussed more on the meaning of HTML. We also discussed on the building blocks of HTML, where we talk about the HTML tags such as heading, title, body, and some other ones like footer, and so on and so forth. Then we also talk about some text elements such as heading element, paragraph, and some other one. We also explain the meaning of block element and inline element. Also, we look at the list, HTML list. We look at the HTML list, the HTML list such as the ordered list and the unordered list. We also look at the subscript, superscript, then we look at the larger text, smaller text, inserted and deleted, and so many other ones with examples. So today we'll be looking at grouping content. Mind you, we'll continue from where we stopped from the last code page. So when we talk about the building content, we are talking about the element that we use to group our pages, the elements we use to in arranging our pages, such as div and span. When we are working or we are creating our web page, we use div to create several sections so that each of our heading, paragraph, italic and other ones will be situated inside the div and there won't be any mix up, so we can easily identify which div is housing a particular content. So we have the div and we have the span. The div is a block element while the span is inline element. So but there is a way you can arrange the div side by side with either styling or if you make use of bootstrap. So what do we mean by div? Let's quickly look at how a div look like. When I click on this and I type div, I leave it this way, it's not going to show anything. But when I put a content in it like kilo, I save. Let me run this. So when I run and it loads, I'm looking for kilo. So when I go down, I'm going to see kilo here, down here. Now we can't know if it's occupying a whole space or not. So I want you to know that is a block element. So I'm going to give it a color. Let me just quickly give it a style attribute, then background color, and give it blue. So save and check again, refresh. When you refresh, you can see the div. The div occupy the whole width, which makes it an which makes it a block element. So when we make use of the span, I think I've made use of the span earlier, but we can still check it out. Inside a div, we can have a span. So if we have a div this way, let me create a span first. When I create a span beside a div, when I create a span beside a div, the span we take another line because the div won't allow it to be on that same line. So let's see that when we refresh, we have our quote below. So if I add another span by the side of span, I write to car. Okay, this will be side by side. because it's being an inline element, so it's going to be side by side. But for me, if I put it inside a div, each of them will be side by side. If I put it in one div, so let me call this and place in this div. So if I put it here, each of them will be placed side by side inside that same div. So you won't see any differences. But if I come here to separate it with close div and I open another div, you'll notice that we have it being separated, and that is taking another line. So that is how we work with the div. So you can have a lot of things inside your div. You can put a div inside a div and so many other stuffs. For example, we have div, then you put another div, then I want to add my content. I now start with h1, bring h2, let me do that way, back h3, r h4 else. Then I put my paragraph. Remember, all this I'm using their block elements, both heading tag and the paragraph. So I say bring back our girls. So this we have it here. When we reload, we have it displayed below. Okay, I think I have 4 in that girls, not h4. Oh, I see, h4. Okay, so when we reload, we're going to have this bring back our girls. Then the paragraph shows bring back our girls. So automatically, all these texts are in one div. How are we going to identify this div? Let me quickly use this style background to what? To differentiate. When I place here and I place here, I'm going to give them different colors. Let me make this one green and I make this one yellow. Okay, or let me say brown. Yeah. Okay, so when we reload, you can see the one that has the text is the one that is showing, because the other div has nothing inside it. We only use it to house this div. So this div here, this div that is green, has nothing inside it. So we only use it to house this div. But if we want this div to have something in it, we can just come here and we write, let's say, let me give it a span for you to see how it's going to work. Span, then I say Nigeria. Okay, now when we reload, can you see that? So that is how a div work. If I go below it to type again, let's say before the closing tag of this here, and I put span again, and I say united we stand. I'm telling you, we are still going to have a green background over there. Now, this will tell you that this div, this div that houses the heading tag and the paragraph is inside this div that houses the Nigeria and the United we stand. So that is that on div. Then we go ahead to Then that reminds me, when you are working with div, your div is always aligned to the left. In fact, all elements align your text to the left. But whenever you want to change your style, you can change the style with a text align or align text, any any way you want it or whichever way is going to work out for you. Then we go to the next one. We look at how we can make use of span, and mind you, you can use span inside a paragraph. For example, we have a paragraph here. I can decide to use span here. Span. I can decide to make it bold again. Bold. Then I want this back to be bold, and also I want it to be italic, and it should be inside span. So I'm going to add italic with it, and then place the back here. So when we refresh and I check the browser, we're going to have it as bold black, back, then an italic. And meanwhile, because it's a span, it's still showing that what we have a span. So that's to say that the span can work inside any item because it is a nested element. Then we have marked text. We have emphasized text. Okay, let me quickly show you the meaning of this emphasized text. When we make use of emphasize, let me just remove this bold and I put em. Am I right? Let me check again. Yes, em. So when I do this, I'm going to have the same result as the way it is. So okay, let me remove the italic so that we can have exactly what we want. Okay, I think the M work for the italic. Yes, it worked for italics. So if you don't want to use I as italic, you can use the M. Also, we have the we have the marked text. When you use marked text, let's see how it's going to appear. We are going to mark the text. So we come here, let's mark this. I don't want to use span here. So let me just say marked, mark, then I'll remove the M. I'll close the mark. Okay, so let's see what goes out there. Oh, it is girls, not girls. Okay, so let's refresh. Can you see what it means by marked? So because I have marked it, it's giving me a background text for that text. So when you have a marked item, so when you go to some browsers, you will see that they will be giving you warning, and they want only that text to have that warning and nothing much, and they don't want to use background color, so they would rather use marked. And when you use marked, it's going to show the text in a yellow color. That means it is marked. Okay, then we go to the next one, which is the strong. I've explained this earlier, but let's just do the example. When I change this to strong, it's going to make it bold. Strong, and we have strong. So having this, you check it out. You have your bold back. Then we go to the next one. We have text abbreviation. How do you use text abbreviation? You can abbreviate your text by putting your text in between the tags. So for example, and when you are putting the text in between the tags, you have to define the name you are abbreviating in the title. So the excuse me, the abbreviation text, which is ABBR, has an attribute called title. So you have to specify the title so that you can have the text abbreviated. So let's see from this content. I want to abbreviate this. Let's abbreviate back. So ABBR title, then I'll put BK back. So then let me put ABBR. Yep. So we refresh. You can see it has been. So if I place my cursor, you can see the BK. So we abbreviate it, but when you put your cursor on it, it will give you BK. So in that case, let me quickly make a better adjustment. Let me make it back, and I will turn this one to BK. So it is the abbreviation they will see outside, but until they put their cursor on it before they will see back as the main name. You can use this when you want to use like toothpick. So although toothpick is different from this, but most of the time when you go to some website, all the icons that you see, when you put your cursor on it, is going to show names like this, which means many of these top developers make use of make use of abbreviations to write some important item that when you click on them, it will give you options, and they do that mostly when they are creating links. When you have a link in a text or you have this message, so they want to give you options of what that link is going to do, so they can just put it there for you to have information, or maybe they have an icon and they want you to know what that icon is really doing, the information behind the icon. So they can just use abbreviation, and they will specify the information in the title. So immediately you put your cursor, it's going to show the information. Then we go to the next one, which is acronyms element. When you are making use of acronyms, most of the time, most of the time, I don't think it's much more important, but mostly everyone make use of them. That is when you are trying to have your own acronyms or you want to create an acronyms, you make use of acronyms. So it allow you to indicate the text between the acronym tags. So for example, let me check, let's see how it works. So we have acronyms. Sorry, I will be changing this often so that we have enough time for it. Acronyms, then we have acronyms. So let's see how it goes for the BK. There's no much differences. Oh, did I get the right spelling? Okay, no S. I added X. Sorry for that. Oh, it's showing red just like the other one we did earlier. That was center, yeah. So let's see how it works. Nothing much, is still the same thing. So that's no more it doesn't have much importance, but it's fine if you want to make use of it. You can use to revise your own acronyms, and that's fine. So then we have the text direction. The text direction is used to show the direction of text. So we have BDO, element stands for bidirectional override, and it is used to override the current text direction. So for example, this text will go left to the right. So you can use to change the direction of the text like BDO, that is bidirectional override. And you now put an attribute direction, which is dir. and you define where you want it to go. Is it right, RTL or left? So I think we are going to try if left is there, up and down. So we have this video, video equals, okay. So the direction should be right, and then currently the direction is left, so we are taking it to the right. Let's see how it goes. I don't use this always, but now we have it. So it goes side. I think I didn't copy the U with it. Okay, I copied the U. Well, it started from UNITED. Yes, UNITED. So it's written in reverse direction. So let's see if this will work. LTL for left. I just want to try this. I've not done that before. So it worked fine. Yeah. So let's see for up. I don't know if up occurred, but let's see if it happens. Just like such. I think it's just for, let me try vertical, or probably maybe VTL. Let's see vertical first. No, no. VTL. No. So it's not possible for you to have it as up and down in that direction. So that is that. We have RTL for right, and the other one LTL for left. Okay. So we have special terms. Special terms are elements that allow you to specify that you are introducing a special terms. So when you are introducing a special terms, like you want to give every word in your website their own term, or you have a special terminology to use in your organization and you want to specify it that way, you can make use of special terms. So its usage is similar to italics word. In the midst of a paragraph, typically you would use the DFN element and the first time you introduce a key term. Most recent browser render the content of DFN element in an italic font. So you always, most of the time you use it inside italic. So that is DFN to create a special terms. So let me return this to back, and I will use the DFN here, DFN, and then I will like this. Okay, so we now have a DFN. So we come here and you see it's more or less like italic, but it's a special terms that you have for yourself. So it depends on what you want to use. Many of these items, many of these elements works almost the same way. So the next one we have quoting text. How do you quote your text? When you want to quote a paragraph or a passage from another source, you should put it in between a block quote. Text inside the block quote element is usually indented from the left and the right, right edges of the surrounding text, and sometimes uses italic font. So if you want to quote a text from another website, you can just use it in a block quote because it's not your own write up, you are quoting it. So like if I say okay this bring is from another text, I will just put it in a block quote and everything is fine. I think we don't need to text that. Then we have the short quotations, we have the text citations. These are more like when you are creating a citation, you can use text citations, and when you are creating a quotations, you can use the short quotation which is q tag, and you can use um the text citation which is the cite tag. So these ones can be used to cite references from another website. Then we go to the next one, computer code. We don't really need the computer code, but computer code are used mostly to create content presented in a monospace font, just like the code in most programming books. So when you want to display your code the way it is in a monotype form, you use your code tag. You use your code tag. So when you have a programming code that you want to appear the same way you have it on the same way you have it in the programming language, then you can make use of your text code, your programming computer code. Then we have the keyboard text. The keyboard text is only used to specify the key on the keyboard. So when you are talking about computer, if you want to tell a reader to enter some text, you can use the keyboard tag. This element indicates what should be typed in. So whatever you want the user to type in is what it's going to type in. That's for the keyboard element. Let's see KBD. I was expecting it to specify something else, but let's see. KBD. We have, I don't think it's, it's important in the text. Can you see it's not in here? I think it should be used mostly inside an input field. When you have an input field, you can use it there to specify the content that you want the key to type. Although I've not tried it, but from what I have here, I believe it should work in there. Then we have the programming language. The programming variables are more like the computer code. The programming variables are like the computer code, and then it make use of pre and code. Elements indicate that the content of the element is a variable. For example, you have code document.write var username, then slash var, then you have your code, and that's all. So when you look at this content from document.write, then you place your write up the way you want it to display, and you put inside the code. This will display the code the way it is. Also, if you use pre as discussed earlier, it will display the code the way it should be. Then programming output is almost the same thing. It's just to show the output of the program you have written. So then we look at text address. The address tag element is used to contain any addresses. So you can use to write your address. Instead of using p tag, you can use the address tag to write out the address on the website. Let's try out the address tag to see how it's going to display. Sholawe Kanuri Naija Ije. So with this, we have this. Can you see? It shows the address the way it's supposed to be. Did I put a comma? Okay. Sholawe Kanuri Naija. And it's fine. So we have that's for the address text. Then we have HTML tags. HTML tags, meta tags are those meta tags that allow you to specify additional information to your website, which can be used by the search engine to locate your site, and at the same time to enable the users or to identify the creator and the owner of the content or the website. Yeah. So the meta tag comes with a keyword that can be used to indicate and also the content. So the keyword and the content attributes are the one that indicate or the specification of the meta tag, and dis meta tag are located inside the head tag. So take note of that. Some meta tags that we have meta tag for name, we have meta tag for con ten t, we have meta tag for scheme, we have meta tag for HTTP equivalent. What do we mean by HTTP equivalent? Dat is, it will enable your website to be responsive to every headers. So either the website is viewed in a small device or a bigger device, or the browser used in viewing the website is an old archaic website, dat HTTP equivalent will adjust the website to the screen size and the browser specification that is using currently. Den it is also used to set cookies, refreshes pages, the con ten t type, set expiration of item and so on and so forth. Den we have specifying keyword. What are the keywords to specify when you are making or writing your meta tag? You have key how do you define a meta tag? So like I said meta tag has attribute and keywords. It has attributes such as keyword and con ten t. Sorry. So inside the head tag here, I want to add a meta tag. I will write dash meta then keyword equals, let me say author, then con ten t. I will put my name, Ademola Code. Oh, is that what I should use? Okay. Ademola Code, Mr. Indelible. Okay. Then I'll close the tag. Wait, I've given it a meta tag. I want to write another one again. I'll put this meta keyword. I'll put this. Then what is the keyword I want to put? Maybe I want to put Twitter. Then content. How do I want it to display? A home of purified teaching. So this now we cannot see it here. It's just and heading is just a meta tag which is located in the heading, so we can't see anything here, but it is used by the search engines and also by other website cookies. Oh, I didn't close this. So that is that. Then we have document description. Can you see keyword, content, HTML tag and everything? Sorry, it has name and content, not keyword. Sorry, I made an error. That is name. The name is the keyword. Name, yes. Name and content. Name. So that is that. Then we have if you want to describe the details of your website, you can use description. So name will be description, then the content, you write the content like where I indicated this for Twitter. I can just decide to change it to description. So I've given it a name, and the content is what? A home of profile teaching. Then we have other ones that you might need later, such as document revision date. You might put your document revision date, you might put your document refreshing. If you want your website to be refreshing every 5 minutes, you add it to it. And if you want to refresh every 1 minute, you add what you want to it. Then we have page redirection. When you refresh, you want your page to be redirected to where? You can have that inside your meta tag. Then we also set cookies. How do you set cookies? Cookies are data stored in small text file on your computer, and it is exchanged between web browser and web server to keep track of various information based on your web application need. You can use meta tag to store cookies on client side, and later dis information can be used by the web server to track a visitor if you do not include expiration date and time. The cookies is considered a session cookie and will be deleted when the user exits the browser. So that is the function of cookies. And how do you set cookies? You set meta http dash equivalent equals cookie, then con ten t user ID, you specify the user ID. Expire, if you want to add date, you put the date and everything, and if you don't want to add date, leave the date, then you only put what? The user ID. So if you are building a website, you would have created the user ID you want, so you should know how you are going to place your user ID so that it can get the ID of each users in the heading tag. That is that. Then we go to setting author name. It's still a meta tag. If you want to set your author name, this is the normal way to set the author name. Name equals author, content, you put your name, just the way I did the other time. Then specify character set. You can also specify character set because a lot of people don't know that the computer does not does understand all languages you give it, but cannot decode which language you are using currently. So that's why you need to specify the encoding format, and most especially we specify our encoding to be UTF-8. So there's another character set called big 5. So we have the UTF-8 and we have the big 5. These two are also metadata for your content for your content. And now we are now going to the next phase called HTML page and linking HTML pages and text. In this aspect, we are going to stop here for today. Thank you. We continue next class.